According to documents seen by reporters at Reuters, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, will be conducting a 30-day series of raids targeting and deporting illegal immigrants. Who are the alleged priorities for deportation? Perhaps criminals or those who have recently arrived. No. Sources say the prime targets are women traveling with their children. So this is according to, as I said, reporters at Reuters. There's going to be month-long raids beginning in this month as well as June. The dates are unspecific, but apparently it's going to be the largest deportation sweep this year by Obama. This is after there was a series of 2 raids in January of this year that focused specifically on Georgia, Texas, and North Carolina. There were 121 people put in detention, and generally speaking, most of them were women traveling with children. So, of course, even at that time, there was a huge outcry from immigration advocates, Hillary Clinton included, and so this is the second or the third rather of those raids, and it's supposed to be the biggest one.
And I'm wondering why, with Obama really nearing the end of his term and as president, why now? Like, what do you think? I mean, why is there this big push? He's almost done.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell you, because in the past, Obama's talked about how the main priorities for deportation are either criminal immigrants or specifically people that have recently arrived. Of course, the immigration reform question is a huge thing. He really wasn't able to tackle that throughout all of his presidency, so it does feel very odd as we're approaching the general election that he would have such a massive sweep, especially when you're talking about the people he's looking at, women and children. It seems bizarre.
Is this like a setup for
Right.
Hillary?
A setup for, God, you'd have to be really cynical, but who knows? It's like there's so much cynicism. But these raids have been criticized by both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, talking yesterday, said, "I oppose the painful and inhumane business of locking up and deporting families who have fled horrendous violence in Central America and other countries. Sending these people back into harm's way is wrong." Hillary Clinton, she echoes that same sentiment. She'd already criticized the raids back in January, but she followed this most recent announcement by saying, "I'm against large-scale raids that tear families apart and sow fear in communities. Families fleeing violence in Central America must be given a full opportunity to seek relief, and we need to take special care of children. Large-scale raids are not productive and do not reflect who we are as a country," because she talks a lot about how, for example, just these kinds of raids, it just sows fear in Latin communities and doesn't actually solve the problem necessarily. It doesn't always deter people from immigrating here. But part of the reasoning for why they might be doing these raids is, for example, in 2014, there was an alleged wave of illegal migrants, specifically women and children who were fleeing violence from Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and then we've seen a resurgence of women with children. So, for example, from October 2015 through March of this year, the U.S. Border Patrol has apprehended over 32,000 family units. They define that as mothers and children traveling together. So, yeah, and that's about double of what it was the previous year. So I understand that it's an issue. I understand, like I said, immigration reform is very important, but it's unclear whether or not these kinds of massive raids really have the effect or really deter people from immigrating here, especially if they're fleeing violence.
And one of the other things, too, that's come up is that many of these people who are apprehended for this unlawful entry don't even show up for their court.
Right, exactly. That's another thing, too, because so a lot of the people that they're targeting too, it's not like they just round them up and immediately deport them. A lot of these people, they've already been told that they need to leave, but yeah, people either don't show up for their court appearances, they ignore the court orders to leave. So it's just really dicey, because it's like, of course, these are all theories that on paper might make sense if you're like, oh, we've got an immigration problem. But when you look at the reality of people being like, I am either going to get killed where I'm from, or I'm trying to seek refuge here in the United States. That's why it becomes such a dicey issue. It's very hard, and then especially if you have people like Donald Trump saying like, oh, just build a wall, get these people out of here. It's so, there's like talk about lacking empathy, right? We just did this story about how Tylenol dulls your empathy. I'm like, maybe Donald Trump's been taking too much Tylenol. I don't know. So according to the ICE spokeswoman, she says she does not confirm or deny the existence of any of these ongoing or future enforcement actions. But she did say that immigrants that arrived illegally after January 1st of 2015 are the first priorities for removal. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, we wonder why Obama's deciding to do this right now, but regardless why he's doing it, many feel that these high-profile raids are not the answer.